The New York Jets have hired their head coach, and it is indeed Aaron Glenn. We're going to take a deep dive on Aaron Glenn's history, what makes him tick, what made him the candidate he became. And there's been a few rumblings about the general manager position. A few things have changed. We're going to talk about all of that, but you know what's up, my friends. It's Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we are live. Welcome everybody to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watts UK99. Thank you as always for taking the time to join me on a Wednesday night for our weekly extravaganza. And this is a big day. It is a big night for the New York Jets, January 22nd, the year 2025 AD. Mark it down because Aaron Glenn is now the second man to both play for the New York Jets and now become the head coach for the New York Jets. The first one, believe it or not, was Walt Michaels, who played a couple of games for them way back when, actually one game around 1963, and became a pretty good head coach. He's actually the only man to win an NFL Coach of the Year award. Can Aaron Glenn be the second? We will find out, but this is a day to be hopeful, to be excited. I'm not here to tell you I know this is a home run hire, but the more I find out about him, the more excited that I get. So we're going to talk about all of that. I'm glad everybody is here in the chat. First of all, before we get into the Jets talk, let's talk about what's on my mind in a little bit of what we like to call 3 and Out. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Baseball Hall of Fame induction. So congratulations to Ichiro Suzuki, to CC Sabathia. If you're a Yankees fan, you get 2 of your guys in there, even though Ichiro's a Mariner, we know. But he did spend a little time with the Yankees. Also, Billy Wagner made it as well, made it on his 10th and final year of eligibility. Congratulations to him. Carlos Beltran just missed at 70%. You need 75% to get in. I think that happens for him next year. I think he is very deserving of the honor. Andrew Jones has 2 years left. He got to 66%. Unfortunately, Chase Utley might have a good chance down the road as well. Because if we look at next year's ballot and who's eligible to make it, there's not a whole lot of names that are going to excite you. To me, the top 2 are Cole Hamels and Ryan Braun by far. And neither of those are first-year inductees in my mind. So, Braun, I'd say 2-3 years, something like that. Hamels about the same. After that, it's Alex Gordon, Edwin Encarnacion, Nick Markakis, Daniel Murphy, Howie Kendrick, Shin-Shu Chu. I mean, is anybody getting excited about seeing their bus in Cooperstown? Not me. So the point is, the guys who just missed this year, I think will have a very good chance to make it next year. So let's see what happens. Topic number 2, the Knicks and the Nets. New York beat Brooklyn last night in the Barclays Center by a score of 99-95. The Nets have lost 9 of their last 10 games. I got to give Brooklyn credit. They pushed the Knicks. They pushed them hard, rallied to take a 1-point lead with 5 minutes left. Nets had 5 players score in double figures, but Jalen Brunson scores 8 points down the stretch. Karl Anthony Towns getting healthy from the thumb injury that limited him, or actually sidelined him for a couple days. 25 points, 16 rebounds, and the Knicks get another win. Knicks are off now until Saturday when they host Sacramento. So 3 days off, very much needed for a team that plays its starters as much as they do. And their next 5 games are all at Madison Square Garden. And a little bit on hockey as well. I'm keeping this to a very short 3 and Out because I want to get right to the Jets. Dominated Ottawa 5-0. The Rangers did last night. They actually scored 2 more goals that were disallowed. What are you going to do? But this was needed. Ottawa, believe it or not, has the top wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. The Rangers needed this win. They needed it in regulation. Ottawa had won 6 straight games Big win. Rangers have 9 games in a row with at least 1 point. They're right now 2 points out of the Eastern Conference playoffs. They got to jump Boston and Columbus to get up to where Ottawa and Montreal are. Those are the 2 teams in the wildcard standings. Rangers have Philly on Thursday, and the Rangers and Flyers are tied in the standings. Huge one. As for the Islanders, they're off till Friday when they will host the Flyers. So Flyers play at Madison Square Garden, I believe, and at UBS Arena on back-to-back nights. As for the Devils, they're hosting Boston. Been on a very slow pace as of late. Dropped to the 3rd spot in the Metro. About to drop to the 3rd spot of the Metro Division. But the Eastern Conference, if you're a hockey fan, the Eastern Conference is so good. Out of the 16 teams, only 3 of them have a sub-500 record. It's the opposite of the NFC South in football. So for the Rangers, they have 35 games to go, and each one feels huge. Getting in the playoffs will be a heck of an accomplishment if they can make it. All right, let's say a couple of quick hellos to a couple of folks in the chat. I see the great Nate. Welcome, Coach Aaron Glenn. We got your back, at least until the first game starts. Billy SBC, how you doing? This offensive coordinator selection better be epic. Well, we'll talk about some of the candidates that he has in mind. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting a veteran offensive play caller, to say the least. But let's see what winds up happening. Certainly not an OC, maybe a passing game coordinator, something like that. The great Harlan Abraham is here as well. Howdy, folks. Hoping the DC is better than the last one. I don't know if that's necessarily fair. I think Jeff Ulbrich was a fine defensive coordinator, just got stretched way too thin. And let's see how he does when he goes to Atlanta. Because Atlanta's got a few decent players, but they were very disorganized. But if he can now concentrate just on coordinating the defense, I think he'll be – I think it's a huge weight off his shoulders. So, yeah, we've seen a few bad coordinators in our time. I don't think Ulbrich was one of the worst ones that I've seen. He was put in a bad position, so I put that more on the owner than I do Jeff Ulbrich himself. That's just my thoughts on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, I'll tell you what. We are in MetLife Stadium. We got the green background. I'm wearing the Nick Mangold jersey, and I feel like doing a chant tonight. So everybody say it with me. Say it proud. Say it loud. Let me the New York Football Jets. Well, we got some Jets news to talk about. And the first thing we're going to talk about, there's actually some movement in the coaching search. And I'm not talking about the head coach. The coordinators have moved a little bit. Marquand Manuel is on his way to the New York Giants. He was the Jets safeties coach. He is now the Giants defensive backs coach. So we bid him, well, you know what? Marquand Manuel was here 4 years. So let's just do this Watts UK99 style. He gone! That's right. And then we got Tony Dews, who was here for 1 year, became the running backs coach. Well, he's on his way. He's joining Mike Vrabel in New England. So to you, Tony Dews, you are dead to us. We don't like you. We don't care about you. We wish you nothing but misery in that hellhole known as Foxborough. So Tony Dews, as far as you're concerned, he gone. He gone as well. Okay. And the other talk is the Jets do want to keep both Tony Oden and Aaron Whitecotton, which would be, in my mind, a very wise move to make. But we'll see. Long way to go before we get down to the individual coordinators. First, we got to get an OC, a DC, and an STCC. STC, yeah, that's right. Special teams coordinator. All right, and the general manager, of course. So we're going to talk right now about the coaching situation and what's going on there. So around the league, here's what's kind of going on. So the Raiders wanted Ben Johnson terribly before he went to Chicago. So I wonder if the Raiders are really focused on offense, because if that's the case, now that the Raiders seem to be focused on an offensive coach and the Jets have hired Aaron Glenn, I don't know if Brian Flores is going to get a head coaching job now. I felt the only teams that were realistically going to hire him were the Jets, the Raiders, and maybe the Bears. So I don't know if the Raiders are looking in that direction, and both the Jets and Bears have already filled those gaps. I just thought Flores looked like a great fit with the Raiders. I just don't understand the Dallas. Can somebody explain to me what the Dallas Cowboys are doing with their coaching search? It's like the mentality of the Dallas Cowboys is, okay, I'm sorry, I got to do this like Jerry Jones. All right, who are the 9 or 10 guys that everybody around the league wants to interview? Okay, these guys right here. All right, well, to hell with them. We're not going to interview any of them. Let's pick everybody else. All right, and let's interview those guys and see if they're fit for the Dallas Cowboys. It's when you say Cowboys, it's it's Cowboys. Yeah, it's anyway. So it's interesting because they're interviewing Kellen Moore, who has a good chance to get the job, and Brian Schottenheimer getting an interview in Dallas. Can you imagine if at the end of this coaching cycle, you got Robert Saleh and Brian Schottenheimer with head coaching jobs? Would that be hysterical? One name we know will not get a job is Liam Cohen. He got a new contract in Tampa Bay to remain offensive coordinator. Jacksonville wanted him, did not work out, and their general manager, Trent Baalke, is now fired. So now, all of a sudden, the Jets, who we thought would be the only team left searching for a GM, it's them and Jacksonville. So who knows what's about to happen. Robert Saleh getting a second interview in Jacksonville this week. So you got to figure he's one of the finalists right now. Could you imagine a Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh reunion, and this time in Jacksonville? I don't know if it would happen. I don't see that. I really don't see that happening. But I'm sorry. If Jacksonville doesn't at least interview Joe Douglas, what are they thinking about? I mean, I don't know. But there are plenty of candidates out there, and we're going to get to the GM talk in a few minutes. Billy SBC's got a few thoughts. He wants Mike Listoff as special teams coach. You know what? We're going to talk about that in a minute because if you guys know me, you know I never leave out special teams. I really do my best to not do that. But you know what? 77 years old. He had to step away from Denver over a health issue. I think realistically the most you'll see is him coming in an advisory role, which I would be very happy to see. But as a full-time coach, it's just a little bit too much for me to imagine that happening. Billy says Gruden to the Cowboys. I could see it. It makes sense. If anybody was to hire John Gruden, that would be it. The Cowboys, even though they're America's team, they like to have this sort of rebellious mindset going on. They really like to do that. They want to just shove it up. They want to prove they're smarter than everybody else with some of the hirings they make, the signings they make, the draft picks they make, and all of that. So, you know what, Billy? I agree with you on that. I could see if he was to go anywhere, that's where he's going to go. Yep, shot of the OC in Dallas. Yep. I think, from what I hear, Harlan, I don't know. Have you seen something? I haven't heard any statement that he's like suspended or anything like that. Or if he did, it ended a long time ago. But I think if anything, it's these owners being a little bit afraid of any backlash they might get, whether deserved or undeserved, about hiring Gruden. That Super Bowl he won was a long time ago. A long time ago. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's talk a little bit about the man of the hour, the one with the power, too sweet to be sour. I just went a little superstar Billy Graham on us there. Oh my gosh, yeah. Let's move. That's a good position right there. Aaron Glenn. So let's talk a little bit about him. Talk about his history, what makes him unique, and why he was such a value commodity in this head coaching cycle, and why we should be excited about him as Jets fans. So that quote I put up at the very top, and for those of you who are just joining us, this is how I started the show. I put this quote up. I want to learn as much as I can because I want to beat you. Remember, whenever you hear Aaron Glenn say anything, when you see him make a decision, that quote, those simple words are going to tell you a lot. 16 words, but a very loud statement. 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, 15. 15 words. Okay. So I want to learn as much as I can because I want to beat you. And the reason why I put that up there is because I really wanted to emphasize the mentality of Aaron Glenn and what he is and what he's bringing into this head coaching job. The great Knob Craft. How you doing, man? I like 2 things today, this show and this hire. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. All right. So Aaron Glenn, he got a 5-year deal from the Jets. We don't care about the money. 5 years is all that really matters at this point. So he's from Texas originally. I think he's from Humboldt, Texas. He played his college ball at Texas A&M after dominating the community college league at Navarro College. I'll give everybody a minute to Wikipedia Navarro College. But as a sophomore, he had 2 interceptions, 60 tackles, 15 pass deflections for Navarro, and that's what got the attention of Texas A&M. So he finished out his college career with the Aggies. Then, first round, 1994 draft, the Jets pick him, and he stayed with the team until the 2002 expansion draft, where he was picked by Houston, and the Jets made him available because they were in a very serious salary cap hole. They basically begged Houston to take him because they needed some cap relief. So it is important that it's not that they wanted to, they had to make, one of those business decisions where somebody had to go. And he was one of 3 players that actually left the Jets and went to Houston. Ryan Young, our right tackle, and Marcus Coleman. So the expansion draft was very, very damaging to the Jets. And I found out a couple of stories about Glenn. And these are the things that I like to get inside the player's mindset. How do they react in different situations? How do they respond when whether it's to adversity or prosperity? So keep in mind, Aaron Glenn, despite being a cornerback, is only 5'9". Okay, he's not exactly a giant. And Bill Parcells, when he came in, he likes big physical corners. That's what he has always wanted. And it got to the point where after Glenn's first season with Parcells, he storms into the coach's office and he demanded to know if he was going to get traded. Well, he wasn't, and he made the Pro Bowl the next 2 seasons with the Jets. In his 8 seasons with our team, with Gang Green, he had 24 interceptions, 3 pick sixes, 36 passes defended, 5 forced fumbles, and 396 tackles. Made another Pro Bowl with Houston after he left. He was also named to the Jets' all-time 4-decade team. That was revealed in 2003. So we know that Glenn and the Jets have a lot of history. A lot of it was positive. Think about this. Aaron Glenn was here for 5 head coaches. Pete Carroll, Richie Kotite, Bill Parcells, Al Groh, and Herman Edwards. He saw 1-15. He saw 12-4. He has seen what this fan base is like at its most jovial and at its most beaten down. Playing with those 5 coaches, I don't know if that's more impressive for Glenn or more sad for the Jets, right? So then he goes on to play for the Texans, as I just said, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, and the Saints. He starts his coaching career in Cleveland in 2014 as the assistant D-backs coach. He had actually spent 1 year as the general manager of an indoor football league team in 2012. So Aaron Glenn actually has GM experience. Who would have believed it? Not in the NFL, but hey. Then he becomes a scout with the Jets from 2012 to 2013. Mike Tannenbaum was general manager at the time. So you had that little connection there with Mr. T and Mr. G. So it's not as if Tannenbaum and Glenn were total strangers to one another. So I think that mattered in the overall process too. And so then in 2014, the Browns go 7-9, but had 4 players selected to the Pro Bowl. 3 of them were defensive backs: Joe Hayden, Deshaun Gibson, Dante Whitmer. 2016, he goes to New Orleans. He's hired by Sean Payton. He becomes their D-backs coach. He helped Marshawn Lattimore get 3 Pro Bowl appearances. In his final year in New Orleans, they had a top 5 passing defense. That's what got him the defensive coordinator job in Detroit. So he goes over there with Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn goes over there with Dan Campbell. Glenn inherits the 2nd worst scoring defense when he goes to the Motor City. Last year, number 7 in points per game. So, and I'm going to break down a few stats here for you quickly, but for those who say that the defense never really got better, it did get better. All right. Now that relationship with Dan Campbell goes way back. Campbell arrived at Texas A&M the year after Aaron Glenn left, so they have that Aggies connection, but they both played under Bill Parcells. They both coached under Sean Payton, and the move to hire Glenn as DC was made just a few days after Campbell was named the Lions head coach. Aaron Glenn was the first hire Dan Campbell ever had. Okay, so in other words, Campbell, he likes Aaron Glenn, and he wouldn't hire somebody he didn't like or he didn't maybe see a little bit of himself in. So that excites me a little bit. Here's one of the things Campbell said. I thought it was kind of funny. He joked that if Glenn were to leave, he would feel like he wasn't wearing any pants. So the idea of that is he's a contemporary of Campbell and similar to him in a lot of ways. They're relatable, but tough. They're detail-oriented, but they are still considerate, and they are demanding, they are strict, and they demand you play hard. Players love to play for Aaron Glenn, not because he's a quote-unquote players coach. Not because he's like, we're going to love on our players, we're going to make crow analogies and all this shit. No, it's because he makes them better. Now, I'm going to give you real quick 2021 to 2024 when Glenn was DC in Detroit. We're going to break down 5 categories. Just going to run through them really quick. And let's notice the difference. Opponent points per game. In those 4 years, they finished, starting in 2021, 31st, 28th, 25th, 7th. An 18-place jump from last year to this year. Opponent yards per game, 28th, 32nd, 23rd, 20th. So a little bit better at a time. Keep in mind, you're going against some very good offenses, especially with Green Bay twice a year. Opponent passing yards per game, that actually was about the same. Opponent rushing yards per game, this was a big improvement. 28th, 29th, 2nd, and 5th. So that took a big jump forward. And finally, defensive turnovers created. How many times as Jet fans were we complaining about the solid defense not turning the other team over? How many times? So when he arrived in 2021, they finished 23rd in takeaways. Then they moved up to 17th, then 18th, and they finished at 11th. So a 12-spot jump over that 4-season period of time. The Lions had a very, very young defense. It's been about drafting and development. That's been the focus of their defense. And if you look around that unit, look how many players have grown under the regime. Kirby Joseph jumps off the page straight away. Brian Branch, that's another. Linebacker, you've got Derek Barnes, Alex Anzalone. Up front, Ali McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson. So somebody got Jack Campbell at linebacker as well. So these guys have been put in positions to succeed. And when they got hurt, he had to counter. So last week, Aaron Glenn was at a press conference. Now we're going to get a little bit more into what the man has to say. Last week, Glenn was asked what makes him different, what makes him the coach that he is. And here's what he said. I'm going to quote here. I spent a lot of time through the years since 2021 going to visit offensive coordinators and just talking to them on how they see the game and how they prepare for the game. And that has opened my eyes on how I should prepare for a game. The other thing is I'm always eager to learn, and there's a number of college coaches that I've went and visited from a defensive perspective just to understand their thought process of the game. It's good to sit there and listen to them and get the why behind why they use them, because at some point, hell, I might use it. So there's a lot of information I've gathered throughout the years to help me be not just a better defensive coordinator, but a better coach. And that can be understanding the offense, special teams across the board. It comes back to that quote. I want to learn as much as I can because I want to beat you. Again, it's the same thing. It keeps coming back to that. His preparation, his work ethic are uncanny. Okay. Now, he was last with the Jets. Let me tell you a little bit more about Aaron Glenn when he was on the scouting team. He was with us for 2 years, 2012, 2013. He was competing against former NFL players. He was competing against aspiring general managers with a different set of skills. So what did Aaron Glenn do? He taught himself how to use Excel, PowerPoint, Visio, other types of software so he could catch up to them, to turn reports around, to do all these types of different things, to communicate as well as he could, because he wanted to be on the cutting edge. He wanted to make sure nobody had an advantage over him, if at all possible. And here's another thing. Let's talk about the coaching style. Let's think about some of the coaches the Jets have had, okay? Going all the way back to Bill Parcells. You could say this about Eric Mangini, even Rex Ryan, as much as a fan of him as I've been, and certainly with Robert Saleh. A lot of these coaches have their system. They have their defense, and this is the way it's going to be no matter what. And the players have to adjust for it. But what we're seeing with Aaron Glenn, and what we've noticed, not that we all watch the Lions play every week. I know I certainly don't. But he's got a curiosity, like this deep desire to gather as much information as he can and then apply it. If you look at his time in Detroit, he will use a 3-4 defense. He will use a 4-3 defense. He will play man-to-man. He will play zone. He will customize the defense. He will change his strategy to whatever needs to be done at that time. And this year he had to do it even more so when you have 7 to 8 starters on IR at the same time. It's safe to say you might need to make a couple of adjustments along the way. And I think that the way he talks about offense, special teams, he is going to bring that mindset to the entire team. And whoever he hires, he's going to make sure they've got the same mentality. Don't be so rigid. Constantly gather information. Keep learning. Let's always find ways to stay ahead of the game. We may not be the most talented team, but damn it, we will not be outworked and we will not be outprepared. And when was the last time that we could say that as Jets fans? It's an obsession. It is an obsession for Aaron Glenn. My God, when the Jets do flight, when they do one Jets drive, oh my God, please let me. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Aaron Glenn with like a remote control in his hand. Let's see. Here's the remote. Boom, boom. Put the camera on the projector on the screen, and let's just see him break down plays. Let's see him break all of that down and why he made the call in different spots that he did. I have a feeling it would be fascinating to hear. So when you're the do 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 do, oh, and then you get the wide shot of one Jets drive with the Jets logo, and then boom, you're in the film room, and there's Aaron Glenn just sitting in the dark. I can just see like his chin resting on these fingers, just like this, and he's just breaking it down, and maybe he's even breaking down film of current Jets players. I guarantee you, that's the opening scene for one of these episodes coming up this summer. I could see that happening. Trevor Nowaski, who's one of the Lions linebackers, said about Aaron Glenn, he'll give you a situation, whether it's a first or second down play or third down play, whatever it is, and he'll be like, what are we calling here? Those pop quizzes. He likes to do those kinds of things. But if that's not enough, the Jet players are reacting to this, and they are reacting super, super positively. Braylon Allen, Michael Carter II, Jermaine Johnson, super pumped up. But I wanted to give you a quote here that I saw earlier from somebody who's not even a Jet anymore, who has no stake in the game. He didn't have to say anything positive about this hire. He's got no skin in the game anymore. And that's Justin Hardy, who was, I think, a real respected leader for special teams for a couple of years. Here's what he said on Twitter. Great pick by the Jets. My favorite coach I've had the pleasure to work with. And Justin Hardy's been on a couple of teams, so he has been around. My coach, my first 4 years in the NFL, and a way better person than coach. He will easily get the best. I actually rather be a better coach than person in a way, but all right, we'll give it to him. He will easily get the best out of his players. I couldn't be happier for him. He relates to the players better than most coaches. Guys, Justin Hardy did not have to say a thing about this. He didn't. He didn't hear anymore. But he was thrilled for Aaron Glenn because he believes in him. And that was years ago before Glenn was even, a defensive coordinator. He was just a position coach at the time. And Justin Hardy was not exactly, he's not known for being a cornerback, more of a special teams player. But he connected with Glenn. It gets me pretty excited, guys. I got to tell you, I'm feeling pretty. If you got thoughts, if you have questions, guys, by the way, please throw them in the chat. Also hit that thumbs up button. Definitely like, share with a friend as I just do a quick plug right there. So to the point that I'm trying to make it, if you hear someone say, we just got another Robert Saleh, how is this any different than hiring Robert Saleh? I hope some of the stuff that I just mentioned will help us understand this is not Robert Saleh. This is a guy who is hungry for information, who is willing to be adaptable, who has been here, has seen us at our highs and lows. Robert Saleh, I'm sure, wanted to coach Robert Saleh just wanted to be a head coach. And of course he does. God bless him for it. But Aaron Glenn for years wanted this job. There's so many people, so many haters, fans, and the media who said the Jets aren't going to get anybody good. Who would ever want to go there? Well, we got somebody who wants to. And by the way, he was very, very sought after by other teams too. He said New Orleans. No, thanks. It's okay. I understand there was a snowstorm. We have to delay the interview. I'm just going to go back home. I'm going to go back to my roots. I want this challenge. Man. So even though Aaron Glenn is not a defensive coordinator, he still needs to hire a defensive coordinator, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So the reporting is he wants to bring in a veteran defensive coordinator who's been a former NFL head coach, to which I say thank God, because he does need some experience around him. Steve Wilks is the name that's getting the most attention. So he has multiple stops as a defensive coordinator. He's had 2 stints as a head coach. That'll be valuable experience for Glenn. Remember, Greg Knapp was hired by Robert Saleh, and of course he passed away in a very tragic accident, and he was never replaced. Never, ever replaced until later. And I think Saleh expressed that was one of the biggest regrets that he ever had. Hey, Indy Jets, how you doing? Asking my thoughts on BL for offensive coordinator. For BL? Indy, who do you mean? Byron Leftwich? That's the only name I could think of. I haven't heard his name. Check reports real quick. Yep, the Jets have officially made the announcement. Let's go. Yeah, Leftwich. I haven't heard that name pop up. I mean, I'm open-minded to it. I have no problem. Oh, we got a statement from Aaron Glenn reacting to becoming Jets head coach. So I will pull that up right now. I'm just doing it on my phone here. Man, I really thought the internet at my place was improving. Here it is. Okay. This is Aaron Glenn. This place is special for me. From the time I was drafted and practiced on Long Island to the time I came back as a scout in New Jersey, this organization has always felt like home. I'm thankful to Mr. Johnson for this opportunity. To our players, prepared to be coached with everything we have. That is our responsibility. I ask that we share the same vision, and that's toward working towards winning a championship. To our fans, simply put, expect a winning team that you will be proud of. There we go. Now, correct. Has he assembled any staff? Now, there have been no hires as of late, but he is already at work on those. I'm going to break down Mark Brunell in just a moment. I got a couple of offensive coordinators that have been talked about, and I'm going to break down like a pro and a con here. Is Leftwich even available right now? That's my question. We know he had that absolute BS interview with the Patriots. I mean, my God, what a joke that was. All right, so Leftwich, I think he was coaching Tampa, right? Okay, so Leftwich was fired 2 years ago? Wow. So Byron Leftwich has done nothing for the last 2 years? Wow. So he was offensive coordinator from 2019 to 2023. Well, he did win. He was there when they won the Super Bowl. So, okay. I guess that's pretty encouraging. Yeah, I'd certainly bring him in for an interview. Yeah, I'm willing to do that if he wants to. I don't think it's going to be Josh McCown. I really don't. I believe the report that McCown either wanted to be a head coach or he's staying in Minnesota. So I don't see it happening. Hey, David D., how you doing? Hope you're having a good day. I was actually off from work today. We had 2 inches of snow in North Carolina, so school's closed. So what are you going to do? So, yeah, did a couple deliveries and, did that, hit the gym, and, just did a bunch of stuff getting ready for the show tonight. So that was basically my day. Yeah, Harlan doesn't think Leftwich will be an OC anytime soon. I find it very weird he's been out of football apparently for 2 years, at least according to his Wikipedia page. So, but bring him in for an interview? Yeah. How many quarterback coaches are going to want this? I wonder that until the situation with the quarterback is resolved. I feel like here's what you got to do. GM, figure out the situation with Rodgers, and then right away get your staff in place, OC and DC. But, yeah, those are the next things that have to be done. And not even necessarily in that particular order, although I expect the GM to, you know what? I could see one of the coordinators getting hired in the next couple days before the general manager. I could see that happening. Aaron Glenn's not going to dissuade any general manager from taking the job. I'm not worried about that. The only thing I'm a little worried about is now Jacksonville out of nowhere has an open. You talk about an ass backwards organization. Oh, my gosh. You can't say the Jets are the worst organization in the NFL. Between Jacksonville, Carolina, oh my God, those two, between the owner in Carolina and the complete out-of-order way of doing business in Jacksonville. Woo! Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, offensive coordinator. So, Glenn is constructing the staff, and I know he wants to bring in Mark Brunell, who is now the quarterback coach in Detroit. There is a possibility he would get the OC job in Detroit. Detroit's going to lose like 3/4 of their coaching staff. It is going to be nuts what happens over there. Man, one day you might have the Dan Campbell coaching tree. You know how they have the Andy Reid coaching tree and the Belichick coaching tree, which for the most part sucks, right? One day you might have like a complete reunion of all these guys who left. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and so on, and more guys, because, they lost their I think they lost their special teams coach too. So I think, New England hired one of them. So who knows? But one day we might be looking at the Dan Campbell coaching tree like 10 years down the road. It's food for thought. So Mark Brunell. So a couple of reports today have said that Glenn and Brunell are very close. Glenn would be interested in bringing Brunell back to New York. It could be in the OC role. Now, Brunell has only been a position coach with Detroit at the NFL level. But Glenn has seen how Brunell works over the last 4 years. So they've been together for a while. They both played with the Saints in 2008. So they were teammates. They both came to the Lions in the same year in 2021. They've both been Jets players. And the fact that Jared Goff has grown as well as he has, I know he's had the best offensive line and some great position players around him, but you still got to read the defense. You still got to throw the ball. Goff has definitely grown. And sure, most of that would probably be on Ben Johnson, and that's fair. But shouldn't the quarterback coach get a little bit of attention and a little bit of respect for that too? So that's the deal with Mark Brunell. Then Clint Kubiak, who's the New Orleans offensive coordinator. Not the greatest resume. He was the passing game coordinator in Frisco. So he was working with Brock Purdy. That's something to be pretty pleased about. Top 5 passing attack. And in New Orleans this year, not too bad. When you factor in the injuries to Carr, Kamara, Olave, Hill, and so on, the offense still averaged 320 yards per game. And they still average as many points as the Jets did per game. And by the way, Spencer Rattler was playing a good amount of that time. Okay, he has a good pedigree, worked under his father, Gary, well-respected coach. That's the upside. The downside is he's also worked quite a bit with Nathaniel Hackett in Denver. And the other thing to keep in mind with Kubiak, Seattle has also expressed interest in having him come in as their OC. So there's a good chance Kubiak will be an OC someplace else. Now that he's been let go from New Orleans, he's going to have options, not just with the Jets. All right, that's 2 down. I'm going to give you a couple of more, couple of comments I want to address real quick. Do we think from Knob Craft? Do we think Rodgers is going to retire or make a decision anytime soon, or is he holding us hostage? I think he's holding us hostage. I don't see how he can hold us hostage. Rodgers has already expressed he wants to make his decision relatively quickly. I don't think this is going to drag out even to the start of free agency. Okay. Let me look that date up real quick. I'm going to guess it's sometime in late February, let's say. Okay. So free agency starts Wednesday, March 12th. Okay. So we still have about 7 weeks until free agency begins. So the Jets have some time to get their staff in place, to figure out what decisions they're going to make, and to make a decision on number 8. Okay. So it's not as if they have to do this in the next 2 weeks. So that's good. I don't think Rodgers wants to hold the franchise hostage. I really don't. As far as what he's going to do, I think Aaron Glenn is going to want to have him back, but they're going to have to talk to Rodgers and say, okay, here's what we're planning to do. This is our strategy. This is what we envision happening in the next year to 2 years. Do you believe in it? They got to sell Rodgers. And I think he's going to make his decision relatively quickly after that. In fact, if I'm Aaron Glenn, I'm reaching out to Aaron Rodgers by like tomorrow, right away. I don't know if Glenn and Rodgers know each other at all, but it's going to be a very interesting situation. But I really don't think this is going to drag. I really don't. We've got the great Chris Bird. Again, I didn't hold that as well as I usually try to. Swig of water for the working man and woman. Holding up the fort in Wisconsin, I assume. Hope you're having a good hump day. Nate wants to bring back 8 and 17, Rodgers and Adams. Hey, Rodgers comes back. I bet Adams gets renegotiated because with that contract, you're not bringing him back on that contract. No, he's counting 30 plus million against the cap. They're going to do some renegotiating. I'm pretty confident, no matter who the GM is. All right. The Jets need to open up a little bit of cap space with 20 free agents. They really, really do. So let's see what winds up happening, but I think they really will. Reload this roster. They will. No, they will. Just don't have a ton of holes, but they got a few serious ones. And, in a future episode, we'll break down the biggest position issues and what needs to be addressed. The danger zone. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just entered the danger zone. How you doing, man? Hope you're having a good one. Nothing but Net says hello to Nate. How you doing, NBN? Hope you do well. That's Gary. Okay. Hey, Gary. Cool. Glad that you're stopping by here tonight. All right. 2 other names I'm going to mention real quick. Actually, 2, and I'm going to touch on a third, on another one. Or in this, on a 5th name. Scott Turner is the interim offensive coordinator for the Raiders. Not too sure about this one. So he had 3 years as the OC in Washington between 2020 and 2022. Never was that offense a top 20 unit. Not that they had any quarterbacking to work with, but it was never all that great. He ran a passing-based offense in Vegas in 2023, averaged under 200 yards a game. This year, with the Raiders, he ran the 29th ranked offense. It just goes to show you again, when you don't have a quarterback, which he never has, you're not going to be all that good. Okay, unless you have like freaking Tennessee with Derrick Henry running the ball for you. Okay, he didn't have a lot to work with, but it would be kind of a risky hire. And also, he's been linked to Belichick at UNC as well. So keep that one in mind too. Nick Haley. Okay, now this is the passing game coordinator for the LA Rams. This could be a good one. I think there's some upside here. Now, I like him not just because he turned down New England for their OC job last February, although that doesn't hurt it. Hey, yeah, that's something that he and Glenn have in common. Glenn turned down the Patriots. Haley turned down the Patriots. I love this guy already. Actually, yeah, let's put him on stage right here. There we go. All right, so you've got Brunell up there in the upper left. You've got Clint Kubiak there in the lower left, Scott Turner in the upper right, and Nick Haley, who looks a little bit like Adam Gase when he had the beard going on, is down there in the lower right. So he was a longtime member of the Patriots coaching staff. So who knows if he's accepted the fact that he was a Patriot. Okay, that's different. And he didn't want to take that job. I think probably because he maybe didn't have a lot of confidence in Gerard Mayo. If he got the offer now, he won't since they hired McDaniels. But if they offered him the job now, maybe he would have had a different mindset on it. But Haley, when he was in LA, ran a top 10 passing attack. He's going to get some consideration. Of course, the comfortable thing is to stay with Sean McVay. But at some point, he's going to want to upgrade from the passing game coordinator job. So Nick Haley will be interesting. Also, he's looking. Aaron Glenn is looking for Todd Haley to join the staff. Not known in what position, but Todd Haley could be that veteran presence as well. So that's a name to think about. You want a little bit of an offensive, somebody with a little bit of history, a little bit of experience. Todd Haley could be one of them. All right. So if I had to pick one of these, I'd probably go with Haley. That'd probably be my thoughts. Oh my God, Connor Long's here. How you doing, man? I don't remember Connor being here before, but I'm glad you're here, dude. Hope you're having a great day. Connor, let us know how you're feeling about the Aaron Glenn hire. Are you excited? Are you lukewarm? Are you streaking around the neighborhood? What are you doing right now? Okay, and you know me, I got to spend a minute or two here on special teams. So Mike Westhoff, we mentioned this before because it was asked about, and understandably so. He could be an option if he chooses to come out of retirement. Again, I don't see it happening on a full-time basis. Again, he's 77 years old. He left Denver in the middle of last season because of health issues. It had to do with his vision, from what I understand. So to me, if he's willing to come by in an advisory role, I'm all in favor of that, like he was in Denver. Chris Banjo appears to be the target, and that sounds great to me just because I think the name is freaking awesome. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah. So, who knows? Maybe even Darren Reese might get a look. You never know. And they were together a little bit in New Orleans. He and Glenn did. So, that does intrigue me as well. Hey, this is our time for hope, Jet fans. This is the time of year when it's nothing but hope, possibilities. We know the Jets can't lose another game for 7.5 months. Oh, I'm in here regularly, but normally multitask. Okay, I got you. I've been okay with the months because I had a strong feeling he was the guy, and the rest of the candidates weren't all that impressive. Cool, man. I appreciate it. Well, you are a busy man, so I definitely appreciate you making the time. All right. And definitely check Connor's content out too. Nubcraft says Armonte Kiffin. Oh, it's a good comparison right there. That's a good comparison. Well, I'll tell you what. We talked a little bit about the coaching search. Now we need to go a little different direction. As we mentioned Westy, let's talk about the GM search because we still got quite a few questions here for sure. So Tennessee got Mike Bergonzi, and the Raiders just hired John Spytek, who the Jets never even considered. And we thought the choice was going to be theirs until Jacksonville let Trent Baalke go. So here's really what we're looking at. This was as of this morning, and now a few things have changed. Okay, so Trey Brown, he's getting a second interview. Thomas Dimitroff, Ray Farmer, Brian Gain, Mike Greenberg. Ryan Grigson is reportedly out. All right, so this just came down today. Grigson is reportedly, according to Connor Hughes, not a candidate. I think that's going to make a lot of Jet fans happy. Alec Hallaby, Darren Bougie from Denver, he's getting a second interview this week. Jim Nagy, Lance Newmark, we knew he was going to get the second interview. That was the name that was linked to Aaron Glenn, but as of now, it's on hold. He's still a candidate, but we don't know. Then you've got Louis Riddick, John Robinson, Chris Spielman, and John Eric Sullivan. So when we do the math, it's really 13 candidates because we can cross out Grigson. 10 have been interviewed once, and 3 are confirmed for a second interview. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Now, a little bit about Lance Newmark, who caption that picture. So he would be a first-time GM, as we know. He spent 25 years in Detroit. It's actually kind of impressive that he survived all those regime changes, and he's worked his way up the ladder from scout to senior director of player personnel. Was in that job from 2021 to 2023, was passed over for the Lions GM job in 2021 for Brad Holmes. I'd say that hire worked out beautifully. But he stayed on before becoming the number 2 man in Washington. And a lot of industry insiders think that he's pretty qualified. Now, of course, there were shaky drafts in Detroit. Jeff Okudah, the immortal Jared Davis come to mind. Ooh, there's a name that we as Jet fans would like to forget about. But Newmark never really had final say over a draft, and it took them hiring Holmes and Campbell to turn the corner. Now, Newmark was expected to follow Ben Johnson to the Raiders. Obviously, that's not the case since Johnson went over to Chicago where they already have a GM. What I like about Newmark is he has a tech background. He used a lot of VR and a lot of analytics to scout Jaden Daniels for Washington. Okay, so that is encouraging. And per Jonathan Jones, the Jets are planning second interviews with Darren Bougie, who's the Broncos' assistant general manager, and Bengals senior personnel executive Trey Brown for the position as well. Will they interview additional people for a second time? We don't know yet, but remember, they're hammering this out with Jacksonville. And right now, Jacksonville has both positions open. So it's going to be interesting. Now, just a quick word on these two guys. Trey Brown, he's worked with 3 teams. All 3 of them made the Super Bowl while he was working for them. I don't know. Let's just go with the fact that things happen in 4s. I don't know. Let's just go with it. And Muji predates the current Denver regime. He goes all the way back to John Elway. He did get promoted, and he's been a sounding board in Denver for Sean Payton, who is still close with Aaron Glenn. So Muji has that little, Sean Payton's kind of like that middleman between Muji and Glenn. All right. So, Connor's still high on Mike Westhoff. I agree. Hey, I've gotten he's like one of the few people I've gotten to speak to. I thought his book was really good, except for the spot where he knocked my guy, Chad Pennington. I'm still not happy about that. And man, oh man, reading, if you haven't read Westhoff's book, I mean, it's deep. It's in depth. The way he breaks down plays, I'm like, oh my God. He was telling his life story, and all of a sudden he's talking about this wedge and this gap and all of this stuff. And yeah, it's pretty in depth. It's like, I wish I could have just converted that to video or something like that. But if you haven't read Figure It Out, I do recommend it. All right. Harlan says Sullivan, I think, is the best one. He's been getting quite a few interviews. It's interesting that some of these candidates, the Jets have interviewed some of them. Some of them other teams have interviewed, but some of them only the Jets have interviewed. And Sullivan is definitely one of the candidates who has been in demand. So that is important. Chris Bradigan still wants gain from Buffalo. Well, hey, our gain would be their loss, right? Yeah, as if anybody would not use that punt. All right, so that's kind of what's going on right now. As far as the timeline here, what I expect to have happen, it's Wednesday right now, Wednesday night as of this recording. I would count on these other interviews going on the rest of the week. Let's see if they do interview anybody else for a second time. I'm just going to recheck my Twitter here. Is there anything else? Yeah, Carter, Johnson, Braille. Yep, all pumped up. Okay. I would expect the general manager hire to come down maybe, I would say maybe by this time next week. And in the interim, I think Aaron Glenn is going to go to work on assembling his staff. So let Tannenbaum and Spielman take care of the GM. Let Glenn go to work right now on assembling his coaching staff. And one of the encouraging things, we don't know the names yet, but from what different people have said, different coaching candidates have said, well, yeah, they said this yesterday before Glenn got hired. They said, yeah, he's going to be taking the Jets job. We're just waiting for the go-ahead to come on board. So who are those people? I can't wait to find out. I'll tell you what we're going to do right now. Last week, we had a little bit of fun. We created a very, very special wheel. We created two special wheels, one for who the coach would be and one for who the general manager would be. You were there. You remember. Well, it didn't quite turn out the way we wanted it to. And so with Aaron Glenn hired, we have deleted the head coach wheel. However, we don't have a general manager wheel. So we'll do the trivia in a few minutes, but I'm just thinking right now, while we're talking about the general manager, why don't we just go ahead and give the GM wheel a spin right now, and then we'll get into the trivia. You guys good with that? Yeah. I think you guys, let's do a little bit of an early wheel tonight. All right. So I'm going to pull that wheel up right now. Now, I have rigged this wheel a little bit. I have put Lance Newmark, Darren Muji, and Trey Brown on there twice. All right. So they each get 2 spaces on this wheel because they've got second interviews. They got a better chance. So I figured I would weight the wheel for them a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to go over here and check on the chat. There we go. Okay. So guys, just for fun, let's spin the GM wheel. So Aaron Glenn, he's got his new position, head coach of the New York Jets, but he needs a general manager to work with. Who's that GM going to be? Who's going to make those signings, make those trades, draft those players, do those press conferences once every 6 months? Let's find out who our new GM is going to be in 3, 2, 1. And the new general manager of the Jets, according to the wheel, is indeed the favorite, Lance Newmark. All right. So we will find out, but the wheel, it wasn't right last week, but maybe it's going to be right this week. It says that it's going to be Lance Newmark. And if that happens, hey, is he in my top 3? Not really. No, I mean, the guys that I'm looking at are Dimitrov and Greenberg. Those are although I'll say Robinson is getting a little bit more intriguing, I guess just because other teams have a lot of interest in him. But you definitely, for the GM, you want like a CEO role, not just like a pure scout. You need somebody who can handle a full organization. Yeah, it was a fixed wheel because I added those guys. I gave them an extra space. But so that's about as much as I could possibly weight it. Okay, guys, so I'll tell you what time it is. You know what happens. Every single week, I head into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. I bust open the books. I pull up the websites. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. And I, watching K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in all of the NFL. Just how much do you know about your New York Football Jets? So everybody, if you are ready, and I think you are ready, you've been ready a lot lately, let's play Jets Trivia. At some point, I think I'll come up with a couple of good Aaron Glenn questions. More than just where do you play college ball at, but I'll find some good Aaron Glenn stuff here for us. So tonight, though, we're going to stay in the Jets playoff history since the playoffs are still going on. My preseason Super Bowl pick is now dead. I had Ravens over the Lions. Both those teams are now gone. I won't reveal what my picks are, but certainly by Friday, I will record my video previewing the championship games. But I got to say, I have not done too well picking these games. I'm only 6-4. Ouch. Yeah. Was doing much better in the regular season, but the playoffs have not been too kind to me. Okay, guys, so you know the rules. We're going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to put a question on the screen, and then in the chat, type in what you believe the answer or answers to be. So I had to make this one, I thought, a little bit harder. So your question tonight, it goes like this. As we add it to there we go. Against New England in 2011, the last time the Jets won a playoff game, name the 4 Jets who sacked the most. Tom Brady. There were 4 Jets who recorded sacks. Can you name them? Got to go back a ways on this one, sadly, 14 years. I hope the lighting is a little bit better tonight, too. I changed some of the lighting around in my place, so hope it's coming across a little bit better than it has before. All right. I see a couple of comments here. I see Nate. Puha, Thomas, Ellis, and Harris. I'll tell you what. All right. Well, here's how I'm going to answer. Here's how I'm going to answer this. All right. So you got 2 correct and you got 2 incorrect. You have Sean Ellis and Sione Puha. They recorded sacks. All right. So Puha and Ellis. So you got those 2 correct, but there's 2 more still to get. Indy Jet says Darrelle Revis. No, Darrelle Revis did not have a sack in that game. Had an interception, but not a sack. All right. All right, Jet fans, it's 2 down and 2 to go. Nate going a little bit deep with Marquise Douglas, who was brought over right when Rex came in, along with Bart Scott and Jim Leonard. That is incorrect, though. So it is not Marquez Douglas. I'll put it this way. One player you would think about getting sacks, the other one you would not. Yeah, the last one is going to be difficult. I will tell you that. Indy Jet says Antonio Cromartie. No. I will tell you the last guy is a defensive back. So you got a guy in the front 7 and you got a defensive back. Meanwhile, I'm going to check on the likes. Remember, if we get 15 likes, we spin the wheel. All right. And I see, we've got our 15 likes. All right. You guys have hit the goal. So I thank you very much for that. So after this, we're going to spin the wheels. So we'll do a full 100 Jets wheel tonight. So we'll do that right after trivia. All right. Chris Bradigan says Jimmy Leonard. No, it was not Jim Leonard. Nate goes Jason Taylor and Drew Coleman. Are those correct answers? Oops. That is correct. Jason Taylor is not a correct answer, but Drew Coleman, believe it or not, had a sack in that game. Yeah. Yeah, he sacked everybody's exalted one. He sacked Brady in that game. Indy Jets goes passe. I guess he was playing in the European League. Indy Jets, I think I know who you mean, but just to clarify. Indy Jets, I'll let you finish that one off. Just for clarification, who do you mean there? And he just goes, Brian Thomas. No, wasn't Brian Thomas. There we go. Harlan Abraham. Calvin Pace. Is it Calvin Pace? It sure is. Those are the correct answers. Sean Ellis, Sione Puha, Calvin Pace, and Drew Coleman were the 4 Jets who sacked Tom Brady in that game. Remember, in that game, Mark Sanchez was not sacked once. The Jets actually had 5 sacks in that game. One of the biggest differences and reasons that the Jets were able to pull out that amazing victory. Probably my favorite win the Jets have ever had in my lifetime. Probably it's either that or the game the previous week in Indy, because I was there. I was at both Indy playoff games, and it was a little bit of revenge. It wasn't the same as the previous year because the other game cost us a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but it was a little bit of a revenge factor against Peyton Manning. It's okay. It's okay. All right, guys. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to pull the wheel back up, and we are going to do a full 100 Jets wheel. So I'm going to share my screen. And, Indy Jets, I would hope you were there. I would hope you were there. Who knows? Maybe we saw each other. And didn't know. But, yeah, I definitely remember partying at an Irish pub. Oh, my gosh. Just one of the best times I've ever had. That was also the last time I've drank 5-hour energy. Oh my gosh. Driving home at like 1 a.m, driving 4 hours, and that's not even factoring the time zone change that you have to hit to go from Indy to Chicago or Chicago to Indy. Yeah, it was a 4-hour drive. What a night that was. Okay, guys. So everybody, you know what we're going to do. We've got the wheel of 100 random Jets. And yes, Aaron Glenn is on this wheel. We are going to spin the wheel 10 times. And on this wheel, we've got everybody from Curtis Martin to Christian Hackenberg. We've got everybody from, who knows, from that's pretty much the comparison I always wind up making, isn't it? We've got everybody from Brandon Marshall and Brandon Moore to Blair Thomas and Browning Nagel. So everybody, you know how this works. I'm going to spin the wheel. It is going to land on a name, and then we are going to create our list 1 through 10 as we go. So when we land on that player, you will type down there in the chat where on the list you feel that player should rank. And at the end, our goal is to go 1 through 10, from best player to worst player. We've got Ring of Honor. We've got Ring of Hell on here. So let's spin the wheel tonight and see where we go. And of course, please put your guesses down there in the chat on who you think we're going to land on. And if we land on that particular player, then you get to pick wherever on the wheel, wherever on the list, we are going to put that player. All right, so everybody, I'm going to ask you to start putting in your guesses right now. Yeah, Jets releasing all kinds of media about Aaron Glenn here. Yeah, about Aaron Glenn. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check those out after I'm done. Okay, guys, so who's it going to be? Who are we going to go with? Let's see. I think I'm going to go with Sean Ellis. He was the answer to the trivia question, so I'm going to go with Sean Ellis. I see Sanchez and I see Vernon Golston. Okay. All right. I'll give everybody about 15 seconds to put their guesses down there before we start. Hey, Sharon McLean, how you doing? Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Goes with John Abraham. I think that's the most recent player that she's picked in a while. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to do that first spin in 3, 2, 1. And it's going to come to a stop on, Chris Herndon. Oh, Lord. Oh, Chris Herndon got off to, a promising start with the Jets and then fell off the map like nobody's business. So in his just illustrious career, he spent 4 years in the NFL, 3 with the Jets. First year, really good. 39 catches, 502 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns over the next 3 years. And made 1 or 2 circus catches for Darnold, but Drops became an issue, had 6 drops in his last 2 years. It just did not work out with him at all. So it was a little bit of a tease, but did not work out. So, chat, where are we going to rank Chris Herndon on our list? I'm seeing a lot of 8s. I see a 9 in there as well from Chris. Okay. It is pretty amazing, though. He was out of the league in 2021. And then, the trade was – Uh-oh. I think I knocked it out. Oh, I can – I'll pull it right back up. No problem. All right. We'll get – we got it back. We're good. Share screen. And let's get back to the 100 Jets wheel. The spin still counts, by the way. So we got for Herndon, it was a 4th round trade, fourth round. Yeah, right. We got a 4th and a 6th round pick for Herndon. So the fact that we were able to get anything for him is pretty much a win. All right, looks like we're kind of split between the 8s and 9s. Guys, I think we might need a tiebreaker on this one. I guess it'll just be me. I'm going to go with an 8. I've got a feeling we're going to have a couple of rough spins here. I'm going to go, You know what? Just because he had one good year, one promising year, I'm going to give him an 8. Okay, that's spin number 1. Let's go to spin number 2. Everybody start putting your picks down in there. I'm going to say we land on Dustin Keller. I'm going to say we land right near Aaron Glenn, but not quite on Aaron Glenn. All right, give you guys a couple minutes, a minute or so to get your picks in there. Okay, guys, who are we? Harlan's going to go with Ray Mickens. Okay. Yeah, guys, if you like to just keep the players that you have, you're more than welcome to. Chris goes with Chad. Sharon wants Curtis Martin. All right. I'm gonna guess Indy still wants Vernon Golston for whatever morbid reason. All right, spin number 2. Here it comes in 3, 2, 1. Revis, okay, I got you. And we land on Aaron Glenn. Oh, can you believe it? Spin number 2. What else can I say? But this wheel's an automatic win. Spin number 2, and we land on our new head coach. If he's watching this, Aaron, I know this is the highlight of your day. How freaking cool is that? All right, Aaron Glenn, where are we going to put him on the wheel? Okay, I almost feel like we should put him at number 1 on principle right now. No, but seriously, all right. So Aaron Glenn, we've gone through his history. We went through his stats. But boy, if you didn't feel confident about him being coach of the Jets, the fact that we landed on him on the wheel, how could you not be excited now, right? This is just divine intervention. That's what it is. But 121 games with the Jets. We said it. How many interceptions? 24 interceptions, 3 pick sixes, 5 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries. Made 2 Pro Bowls with the Jets, was the 6th in Defensive Rookie of the Year. Hey, we can put it. Aaron Glenn today, he's going to be our number. Exactly. Aaron Glenn will be our number 1. I don't care who we land. Indy Jets wants to go 5. Not tonight. Not tonight. Aaron Glenn is going to be like, what would you say? Almost, I know that Easter egg isn't the right, whatever the opposite of a poison pill is. Aaron Glenn, he's in his own tier, and then we'll go from there. I got to make a call on this one. That just made my day right there. That was freaking cool. All right, we'll go to spin. I may have to make a clip out of that and post it as a short or something like that after we're done tonight. The fact that we landed on Aaron Glenn. All right, let's go to spin number 3. I'm gonna say we land on Kevin Mawai. Now that we made Aaron Glenn number 1, we'll have a couple of other guys who are like right there near the top also. So I'm gonna say Kevin Mawai will be our next pick. All right, chat, go ahead and throw your guesses down in there. Who we're going to land on? Oh, Indy and Harlan both trying to claim Nick Mangold, probably because I said Mawai. They had the center thing in their mind. Indy got Mangold, so Harlan, got to ask you to change that one. Yeah, and also I got the jersey on tonight, so there you go. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I don't know if the Jets shop has Aaron Glenn jerseys going on available right now, but if they don't, they're out of their minds. Chris goes Quinnen, Sharon goes Revis. All right. Harlan changes it to Mark Estino. Okay. I'm just going to do one thing real quick. I got to check the Jets website. View all players. You can buy Bob Talamini jerseys. Do they have anything for Aaron Glenn? Because they got to fix that right now. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I'm on the Jets shop where on the left you can pick the player, and Aaron Glenn is not one of those players. That needs to change like in 24 hours. All right, let's go to spin number 3 in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to roll through this one a little bit. And we land on, oh boy, Greg Van Roten, who still kicking around in the NFL. God bless him, but definitely not a favorite of Jets fans by any stretch. He's kind of been all over the map as of late, but was with the Giants this year, now 34 years old. Had 2 unspectacular years with the Jets at right guard. Played 30 games, and I don't know what else you really want me to say about him. Just that he was not very popular. Not very popular at all. Played 94% of the snaps one year, 64% of the snaps another year. So we've got Chris Herndon at 8. Where are we going to put Greg Van Roten, below him or above him? Harlan wants to put him at 9. And this might have been a good idea. I think Herndon might be in the right spot at number 8. All right, chat. Let your voices be heard. Your voice matters. All right, looks like the nines have this particular one in the bag. Okay, yep. All right, we got it. So Greg Van Roten gets spot number 9 tonight. Yep, it's pretty much unanimous. All right, beautiful. All right, we're going to go to spin number 4. All right, spin number 4. I'm feeling we've gone with a couple of recent Jets as of late. So I'm going to say we're going to stay on the recent trend. I'm going to go with Denzel Mims, who tragically is on this wheel, and I don't know when the last time was we landed on him. It's been a minute. Harlan's going Ring of Honor level with Winston Hill, perhaps the greatest Jet there ever was. Very possibly the best of all time. You can make the argument. All right, guys, give everybody a minute or so to make their picks. Again, so far, Aaron Glenn at 1, Chris Herndon at 8, and Greg Van Roten at 9. That's what we got down so far. Any more tips? All right. I see Joe Namath. I see John Riggins. So, all right, Chad, I see you're going a little bit old school here. Very cool. Santana Moss. Okay, here we go. Let's go to spin number 4 in 3, 2, 1. And that wheel is going to come to a stop on Victor. You know what? Something is happening on this wheel tonight. This is really cool because I talked about all the current Jets who were super happy about Aaron Glenn getting this job. Was there anybody more pumped up than Victor Green? Victor Green, follow him on Twitter or X if you don't, because man, he posts like positive messages every morning, and he has been saying it for weeks, even months now, that Aaron Glenn should get the job, and he did. But Victor Green, maybe the best safety the Jets ever had. 1996 led the NFL with 123 solo tackles, 9 years with the Jets, 24 interceptions. Let's see, 7 sacks, 859 tackles, 619 were solo tackles. Not bad. 7 forced fumbles. Just a good, reliable player. Never really got any recognition. Never got any Pro Bowl nods, which I thought was really disappointing. But I'll tell you this. From 1996 to 2001, which was the year he left the Jets, he started and played every freaking game. He was reliable. Super reliable. Hey, Danger Zone wants to recap? Okay. Aaron Glenn, number 1. That is not a joke. Rewind if you didn't see it. Number 8, Chris Herndon. Number 9, Greg Van Roten. The chat's a little bit tougher on Victor Green. They've got him at the 5-6 level. I'd go a little higher. I would actually put him at about a 4. I think Victor Green was that good when he was a Jet for 9 years. All right. Wasn't a lifelong Jet, but you know what? He was a darn good player for quite some time. Danger goes 4. Harlan goes 4. Sharon's going to change hers to a 4 as well. Okay. Let's see. So 4. It looks like right now we're right around the 5. Yeah, it's kind of tight. 5, 4. I feel like I almost have to make an executive call on this one. Now, keep in mind, Aaron Glenn, number 1, he is like our unicorn. He ain't getting changed. So the hope is the actual best players at number 2. I don't know if we're going to find 3 players better than Victor Green with these last couple of spins. I really don't. Here's the thing, guys. We got 7 spots to fill. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. I think we could get 2 better than Victor Green. I don't think we're getting 3. So Chris is staying with 5. Man, this I have a feeling this pick is going to make or break our wheel. It depends how lucky we think we're going to get. All right. The chat is, I think, leaning just a little bit more towards, picking Mark Sanchez here on out. Okay, Dave. All right. I got to make a decision on here, don't I? This is not easy. Okay. The initial thoughts were, so 5, 6, 4, 4, 4. I'm going to go with the 4, guys. It looks like, since Sharon changed her mind, I'm going to make it a 4. Victor Green was a darn good player. I just got to go with it. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so now we're going to go to spin number 5. I think we're going to land on Leonard Williams. Broke our heart a little bit this year with that pick 6. So I'm going to say Leonard Williams. Dane, I know you got Mark Sanchez. So chat, go ahead and type down there in the comments whenever you're ready. All right, who's it going to be? Or if you want to take one player and pick them for the rest of the wheel, say that and I'll know. You can absolutely do that if you want. I like what Indy said. The real Super Bowl III MVP, Matt Snell. That's well said. I wonder if Namath would have been named the MVP if he didn't make the guarantee. I've always wondered about that. Harlan goes Maynard. Sharon goes Mickey Schuler. Okay, I think we're good. This is spin number 5 in 3, 2, 1. And it comes to a stop on, oh my God. Okay. This is crazy. This wheel, I promise you, I have no influence on this. This thing is nuts tonight. We have landed on Aaron Glenn twice. Twice. Oh my gosh, twice in like 4 spins. That has never happened before on this wheel. I got to do a respin though. I can't put the same player on twice. I mean, we can't do that. Oh man, oh man, oh man. If this happens 3 times, I'm just going to shut it down and call it a win. Yeah, 2. I know. Yeah, Indy, Chris. I know, Chris. I know, Indy. I get it. All right. Let's respin. 3, 2, 1. That was great. And this time we land on pretty much the opposite level. We land on just the immortal Doug Bryan, who did have one kick that won us a playoff game in San Diego. I can't take that away from him. But he was a Jet for 2 years when he was age 33 and 34. He made 84.4% of his kicks the first year, 82.8% the next year. He actually would have been a hell of an upgrade over Greg Zuerlein this year. But the bottom line remains, we know what he's known for. And, you know, what else do you really need me to say? What else do you need me to say? Had 2 misses, went 3 for 6 overall, and none of those, and both of those 2 key misses were in the 40-yard range. So, yeah, he had 1 miss from 30 to 39 and 2 misses from 40 to 49. So, yeah, not Doug Bryan. Okay, so Danger, I can't make him a 9. That's taken. So right now, Chris Herndon is 8, Greg Van Roden is 9. So Doug Bryan on this list is either going to be 7 or 10. So you can take your pick on that one. Doug Bryan was, believe it or not, was actually a kicker for the Niners. He was on the roster when they won the Super Bowl in '94. Who would have believed that? That was his rookie season. He only made 15 out of 20 field goals that year. He even missed 2 extra points. Dear God. Back when, like, you and I could have all kicked an extra point with, like, 10 minutes of training. All right, guys. So, yeah, I know he's not going to be any higher than 7. So 7 or 10. Where are we going to put him? Okay, looks like it's 7s all the way. Got it. Chris wants to put him at 10. I understand. It's fair, but, you know, was not a horrific kicker. It's just he completely failed when we needed him to come through. But and again, got to keep in mind, Herman Edwards got way, way, way too conservative at the end of that game. Way too conservative, and had Bryan kick 40-plus yards in the open direction of Heinz Field where nobody makes those kicks, this side of Chris Boswell or Justin Tucker. Okay, so we're halfway done. To recap, number 1, Aaron Glenn. Number 4, Victor Green. Number 7, Doug Bryan. Number 8, Chris Herndon. Number 9, Greg Van Roten. So to fill, we've got spots 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. So let's go ahead and spin that wheel. It's karma. Yeah. I'm not a big karma guy. I'm a spiritual guy, but I'm not a karma guy. But I hope you're right. I hope you're right, brother. All right. I will go. I want to say we'll get Aaron Glenn again. I'll go Chris Ivory on the spin. Chris Ivory. Indy snicks with Matt Snell. We know Dane has Sanchez, I believe. Right? Yep, Dane has Sanchez. Okay. Give everybody about 15, 20 seconds. Harlan goes with Vladimir Dukas. Hey, you know, this is actually not a bad wheel because we got some high ranks available. We got some low ranks available. We've only got room for one, like, out-and-out bust, though. But that 5-6, we got a lot to play with because number 4, we have Victor Green. Number 7, we have Doug Bryan. So that 5-6, it's almost like a free space. Just see okay players there because there's a big range there. I see 2, and I see Johnny Lamb Jones. Okay, here we go. This is spin number 6 in 3, 2, 1. And it's going to come to a stop on Richard Todd. Oh, this is going to cause a little bit of controversy, I think. A lot of people have different opinions of him. But Richard Todd, nobody was, as Joe Beningo said, nobody was better at finding the open linebacker than Richard Todd. He threw a league-high 30 interceptions in 1980. Holy cow. Plus 26 another year, 22 another year. His career record with the Jets was 42, 51, and 1. 110 touchdowns, 138 interceptions. Oh my gosh. This is not good. He averaged about 178 yards per game, was sacked 230 times. He was sacked quite a lot also. Yeah, then he went to the Saints for his last 2 years. Here's a funny stat on Todd. All right, so he had 8 years with the Jets, and he had, with fourth quarter comebacks, he had 4 of those. So that's an offensive scoring drive in the fourth quarter with the team trailing by 1 score. He had 5 of those in New Orleans after he left. 5 game-winning drives / fourth quarter comebacks in New Orleans. And then he completely disappeared, was never heard from again. Indy Jets going pretty high. He wants to put Richard Todd ahead of Victor Green. Okay. All right. So, chat, I'm curious. Do you agree with Indy, or do you feel Richard Todd deserves the number 3 spot, or does he belong in that 5 or 6 spot? I definitely don't think he'll be in number 2, and I definitely don't think he'll be number 10. Yeah, but chat, I definitely want to get your opinion on this one. Yep, Bill Parcells all in on the Aaron Glenn hire. We know that. Chris is going 6, a little before his time. Yeah, before my time too. I was born while he was Jets quarterback, as a matter of fact. Indy with a good way to say it. Todd was the Jameis Winston before there was Jameis Winston. Could be productive. He had, let's see, his high was 25 touchdowns in 1980. 25 touchdowns, 13 picks was a good year. But, yeah, just way too many seasons where he threw more picks than touchdowns. So, in his 8 years with the Jets, he had 2 years where he threw more touchdowns than interceptions. That's not good. So, a lot of 6s. I see a 5 in there as well. Yeah, he's definitely going to be in the 5 or 6 range. Yeah, I'm good. Honestly, I'm good 5 or 6, whatever you want to do. Yeah, no Pro Bowl nods, nothing like that. Okay, I'm going to put Richard Todd at the 6th spot. I got a feeling we're going to come up with somebody in between Victor Green and Richard Todd. I think we could do that pretty well. All right, so 4 spins left. We got to fill in 2, 3, 5, and 10. So we need some good. I'll tell you this. I'm glad I made Victor Green number 4 and not number 5. Because with these last 4 spins, we got to get 2 Jets better than him. Won't be easy. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and put our guesses down in there. Dane, I know, wants Mark Sanchez. I'm going to try to manifest some good on this one. I'm going to say Freeman McNeil is where we land next. Todd's teammate, I'm going to say that's where we land. We're going to land on Freeman McNeil. As I'm now out of water. Indy's sticking with Snell, okay? Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it. And again, guys, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. I appreciate every one of you for doing that. Oh, I had a nice influx of people just joined. Fantastic. Well, hey, anybody who just dropped in, we're doing the Jets wheel right now, the 100 random Jets wheel. And if you didn't see it, definitely rewind later. We landed on Aaron Glenn twice. Guys, if you need any more evidence that this hire is going to work, we landed on Aaron Glenn twice in 4 spins. But so far, here's where we are. Aaron Glenn, of course, he's in spot number 1. There's no other place we could put him. Number 4, Victor Green. Number 6, Richard Todd. Number 7, Doug Bryan. Number 8, Chris Herndon. Number 9, Greg Van Roten. So we got to fill in 2, 3, 5, and 10. All right, Chris Brennan goes with Wesley Walker. Harlan Abraham, Calvin Pryor. Sharon McLean goes Randy Rasmussen. We got a whole variety of talent level there. Okay, and I'm going Freeman McNeil. This is spin number 7 in 3, 2, 1. And it comes to a stop on Bart Scott. Can't wait. So Bart Scott, I've said this many, many times. It was all about his personality. It was all about his character more than it was his talent. If he hadn't done the whole can't wait speech, do you think he has the career in media that he has? Do we remember him as fondly as we do? You know, he was a Jet for 4 years before he retired. Okay, 7 years in Baltimore, 4 years with the Jets. In those 4 years, he played 60 out of 63 games, which is very good. 1 interception, 5 passes defended, 9 sacks. That wasn't really his forte. Had 33 quarterback hits. That's pretty solid. Let's see. How many tackles? 299 tackles, 216 of them solo. So that's 54 solo tackles here. Bart Scott, to me, is a good player. He is not a great player. And I think I agree with Chris. I think the number 5 spot is perfect for him. All right. Looks like the chat's in pretty much got a unanimous opinion on this one. So it looks like he will be the number 5 pick. All right, that works for me. So Bart Scott gets spot number 5. So all we got left, gang, we've got numbers 2, 3, and 10. So we got to go high or we got to go low. There's no room for middle ground here because 4 through 9, we got Victor Green through Greg Van Roten. So it's pretty obvious what we need to do here. Okay, guys, so who are we going to land on? Wesley Walker, I see. Yeah, Wesley Walker is a pretty popular pick tonight. Dane, do you want to change for Mark Sanchez? Because he is not who we need to land on right now. If we land on him, fine, but I don't know if I can rate him number 3. But hey, Sharon goes Wayne Corbett. Sharon feeling positive that we are going to hit some Ring of Honor members with these last couple of picks. I think Danger, he gave me an LFG. I think he's staying with Sanchez. Chris Bradigan wants 2. Okay, I'm gonna take. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say we land on Joe Klecko. I'm gonna go with Klecko. Okay, spin number 8. We got to go great or we got to go bust. Danger wants Revis. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Come on. Come on, Wheel. And I think we did the job. Browning Nagel. Not Ring of Honor, but this is about as low as it gets. Admittedly, if this wheel was based on preseason play, he would probably be the number 1. He would probably be number 1 on this list. I don't think anybody could ever deny that. But when the lights were on, Browning Nagel, in his 3 years with the Jets, 3-10-0, completed less than 50% of his passes, 7 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, sacked 30 times. I know this is shocking, but he did not get any votes for Rookie of the Year. Whew. And per game, he would get he averaged 131 yards per game. Exactly, Chad. There is nowhere to put this guy but at the bottom of the list. Definitely below Greg Van Roten, below Chris Herndon. Okay, so here's where we are. Number 10, Browning Nagel. Number 9, Greg Van Roten. Number 8, Chris Herndon. Number 7, Doug Bryan. Number 6, Richard Todd. Number 5, Bart Scott. Number 4, Victor Green. Number 1 is Aaron Glenn. Guys, we need to hit the jackpot twice here. We need to hit it. I'm going to try reverse psychology right now, and I'm going with Calvin Pryor. I try to be positive. It didn't work. I'm going reverse psychology right now. Calvin, the Louisville, can't hit anybody who's moving slugger Pryor. I don't think Chris Bradigan's a big fan of Browning Nagel. I'm guessing he brought like an authentic jersey and couldn't get his money back. Oh, boy. Harlan goes with Calvin Pace, who is an answer to tonight's trivia question. All right. Chris goes with Aaron Glenn again. You know what? Hell, if we land on Aaron Glenn again, I'll put him in. Yeah, I'll put him in. Why not? We'll just fill spots 2 and 3 with Aaron Glenn. It's almost like Bugs Bunny playing at first base, Bugs Bunny. Second base, Bugs Bunny. Third base, Bugs Bunny. Shortstop, Bugs Bunny. Indy Jets goes with Joe Fields. All right. Well, we got to pass Victor Green and we got to pass Bart Scott. We at least got to get some guys who made some Pro Bowls, okay? Because Victor Green and Bart Scott, good to very good players, but never got any Pro Bowl recognition. Can we at least get some guys who made some Pro Bowls for the Jets? Okay, here we go. Spin number 9. I want this wheel to be a winner tonight. I really do. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And the wheel comes to a stop on Nick Folk. Well, we landed on our second kicker of the night. You know what? He was about as clutch a kicker as we've ever had. In fact, if I would go as far as to call him the best we ever had. He wasn't the compiler Pat Leahy was, but he made a heck of a lot more kicks than he did. So for his Jets career, which went from 2010 to 2016, and man, he's still kicking at 40 years old. God, hey, maybe the Jets sign him. Maybe he comes back to the Jets this year. It wouldn't shock me. But for his Jets career, he made 175 out of 213 field goals. That's 82.2%. But then in the playoffs, he was only our kicker in 2010. Okay. That's right. Feely was the kicker the other year. That's right. But he made 2 out of 3 field goals, 8 extra points. But hey, he made the kick that ended Peyton Manning's Indianapolis career. So you know what? Yeah, we got 2 and 3 left. You know what? I'm gonna make him number 3, and I'm okay with that. Because to me, when you combine longevity and volume, he might be the best we ever had. Like Jason Myers was better, but he was only here for 1 season before he left. Thanks, Mike McCagnon. So when you combine both, I think you can make an argument Nick Folk is the best kicker the Jets have ever had. Yeah, I'll put him in at number 3, and I'm good with that. Yeah, easy 3. Yep, I think we're all on board with that. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. It has been a fun night tonight talking about Aaron Glenn's history, what makes him so different, and why he has a chance to succeed as the head coach of the New York Jets. We talked about the future of the general manager position, what's going on with these interviews, what might be happening next, and we talked about possible coordinators. We did trivia. We spun the Jets general manager wheel, and we landed on Lance Newmark, and we've had a heck of a wheel tonight. But now we come to the penultimate spin of the night, our number 10 spin to fill in spot number 2. And we are going to make that spin in 3, 2, 1. And we land on Marvin Powell. You know what? Marvin Powell, who unfortunately recently passed away, was a kind of a rocket left tackle for quite some time. I think one of the more unappreciated Jets. I don't feel like he really gets talked about. But he was sort of like the Brickashaw Ferguson before Ferguson. Was with the Jets for 9 years before finishing his last years in Tampa Bay. 5 Pro Bowls in a row, 4 All-Pro appearances, All-Pro nominations, including 3 first-teamers. And he played with the Jets, let's see, I think 123 of a possible 124 games. Is that right? I guess with the strike-shortened season. No. He missed a couple of games here and there. He missed a couple. Yeah, he missed a couple, but yeah, 5 Pro Bowls, 3 first-team All-Pro nominations. You know what? Yeah, I'm good with that. 6'5", well, back when a left tackle could be just 268 pounds, and it wouldn't be a complete liability. So, you know what? Yeah, Marvin Powell, number 2. So to recap this wheel, guys, I'll tell you what. Number 10, Browning Nagel. Number 9, Greg Van Roten. Number 8, Chris Herndon. Number 7, Doug Bryan. Number 6, Richard Todd. Number 5, Bart Scott. Number 4, Victor Green. Number 3, Nick Folk. Number 2, Marvin Powell. And number 1, Aaron Glenn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, this wheel is a winner. Oh, my God, I feel good. 2 landings on Aaron Glenn, and the rest just took care of itself. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful night, And I appreciate everybody again hanging out here with me for the Wednesday night live show here at New York Sports Wicker Media. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Kind of plateau with the subscribers, trying to get it over 1,000. Getting there, but I still need to do a little bit more work. But to those of you who hang with me, you are awesome. I love you. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody.